So, I hate Rent-A-Girlfriend, but I can't stop reading it. Let's get into that right now. Like in lots of anime and manga, there are just some shows that are so bad that you gotta keep watching. The greatest example of this that I can think of is Domestic Girlfriend.
今日から一つ屋根の下だね。
そうっすね。
今さら弟ができるなんてワクワク。部屋に入ってエッチなもの探しちゃおう。
やめてください。
兄弟になるんだから家では敬語は禁止。
Lord have mercy, I'm about to bust.
That was an absolute dumpster fire of a manga anime series, but is it so much fun to watch it burn? Like, man, that thing through and through to the end was something else, and I can't even explain it because it was balls to the wall the entire time, so you gotta give credit to the author for that. But this story is not to the same level that Domestic Girlfriend is. It's not that crazy incest sister stuff that is on there. There is a lot of things with the characters themselves and the things that they do and how they act and what their kind of tropes are and their personality is that really, really infuriates me and makes me hate it. But I want to see where these characters end up going, who he ends up with, who Kazuya ends up with, and how the entire story ends up panning out, because there's just so much great stuff about it that even though these characters piss me off to no end, like Kazuya is one of the most annoying and infuriating characters I've ever had to deal with, and I'll get more to that later, but is such an interesting series. And without further ado, let me get into the actual synopsis if you guys do not know it. So Kazuya ends up breaking up with his first ever girlfriend in college, and first ever girlfriend at all, and happens to be that he was in college when it happened. Ends up with a huge amount of depression on him and loneliness for this, trying to figure out what he did wrong, what happened with this whole relationship, why she didn't like him. But what we end up seeing is, out of an act of desperation and loneliness, he ends up deciding to rent a girlfriend in Japan. Now, the rent-a-girlfriend service is something I didn't think was real until I went up and searched it on Google. I was like, this can't be real. So I looked it up, and this is a real thing. Like, there's a place in Chicago. There's like a national thing. It was all around like there, but I live close to Chicago. That's as close as you're gonna get to my location, you freaking stalkers. But this, like, I didn't think it was real, and then I looked up, and there are actual like canon shots of people, and you could actually go on a date with an actual rental girlfriend, and it blew my mind that it was actually real. But anyway, so he ends up going on a date with Mizuhara, who is one of the top rated best girlfriends on the actual site that he rents it from in the manga. So they go on this date, and what happens at the end of this, after he goes on a couple more fake dates with her, is he ends up snapping and going, is this fun? Are you okay with this all fake relationships and stuff like that? And then she finally breaks her character, and you get to see the real side of her, and this ends up ending the first thing and progressing to the more of it. And I'll talk about more of the story as I go on and want to explain certain parts of this, so there will be spoilers for this series that is past where the actual manga is in English, and the other official stuff that is kind of, you know, the not so legal stuff. But what ends up happening is Kazuya ends up keep progressingly, after like each end of the chapter, he goes, I'm gonna finally change. I'm a better person now. I'm not gonna keep using Mizuhara as a crutch. I'm gonna get a real girlfriend. I'm gonna grow up and do this. And you're like, oh yeah, that's awesome. I'm like, he's actually gonna show some progression. But psych, bitch, no he's not. He just ends up, something happens, and he's just like, oh, I gotta go back with her now. So what happens is his grandma ends up going to the hospital, and he ends up bringing her with on a whim because he's freaked out, and she just ends up going with him because the date's not over, and she's getting all the time for it because she has to be with him until for like designated time. So she ends up seeing it, and they end up misinterpreted as an actual couple, even though obviously why would you not do that when you're like not get labeled as an actual couple when you are pretend dating. So his grandma ends up seeing that, and she's so overwhelmingly happy to see that Kazuya got a real girlfriend, and she is just overwhelmed, and this progresses into Kazuya more leaning on Mizuhara instead of actually trying to find a real girlfriend, or actually trying to confess his feelings to the rental girlfriend. But it makes sense not to confess to the rental girlfriend because obviously she doesn't have that many feelings for him. It progresses more and more to where you get to see that she actually does have feelings for him, and that she is also part of the problem, and what infuriates me, because she also progressively, over so many times, tells him that she doesn't like him, and that they're just rental girlfriend, and they're a rental couple, fake couple, and all this. But she clearly has feelings for him, and she has his leading on kind of a feel to her, because she doesn't like him, but she does so many things that seems like she does like him, because she does, so it slips out every now and again, and then Kazuya's just left here like, what the hell am I supposed to do? And he just is trying to figure out what he's supposed to be doing and how he should confess his love and his feelings for this girl that he has soon begun to develop real feelings for, instead of these fake rental girlfriend stuff that has been going on. But then as we get to see more going into the story, you have other girlfriends that end up getting involved. They're all rental girlfriends, and for some reason they all developing real feelings for Mizuhara because it's a manga, and spineless people are able to get whatever they want in the fake world, but in the real world, us beta males are not going to be winning so well. Because what happens is Kazuya is the absolute most beta of a guy ever. He's so spineless. Like I said, with him leaning on Mizuhara, there's so many things that he's like says he's gonna man up. Like, he's after this whole thing with his grandma, and when he's after this, he's like, I'm gonna go tell my grandma that this isn't real. I'm gonna man up. I'm gonna tell her what's happened, and I'm just gonna get a real girlfriend. I'll be able to come to her like that at one point. And he ends up not doing it. He just ends up chickening out and not doing it. But then when he's gonna finally do it again after her grandma, who's also happens to be in the same hospital, coincidences, it's always so much fun. So Mizuhara's grandma is also in the same hospital as Kazuya's grandma. So what happens is Mizuhara's grandma ends up meeting Kazuya and thinking they are a real couple as they are pretending doing it. So she's happy to see that there's someone for her to look after Mizuhara, because there's some stuff that happens, and I don't want to get into it, but let's just say there's not too many people on Mizuhara's side. And she's just so happy to have someone that is in Mizuhara's life that is able to look after her and take care of her. And then there's a lot of emotional stuff that goes in this. And obviously, Kazuya has real feelings for Mizuhara, and he's eventually going to convey these feelings. And later in the story, there is a actual confession for it, but it ends up getting panned off almost like a silent voice when she's like, I love the moon. Shoyo ends up thinking that she says, I love the moon, Shoya. I don't know. I knew I said it wrong. That's why I started to stutter. I'm like, that can't be right. And I was trying to process it. But Shoya ends up thinking that Shoko ends up saying that she loves the moon instead of that she loves him. But it's the same kind of thing with this, because he's like, I love you. And there's a confession, but he's like, nope, psych. I'm just kidding. It's just for like this rental girlfriend thing. And she's like, oh. But then when she goes to him, you get to see her real feelings. It's just like, God, you said it. Can you man up for 4 seconds and to be like, yeah, I meant that. I have real feelings for you, and I want to convey them. But he can't, because he's just like, nah, I'm too scared to do it because I'm scared of being hurt. And then you also get to see the ex that ends up coming back into his life, and for some reason is just an absolute like, my God, is she a terrible person. She breaks up with him, but then you can see in the story that she doesn't want anybody else to get with him. It's so confusing, because he still likes me. Why is he with this Mizuhara? And it's just like, bitch, you broke up with him. What do you expect? You don't want him to move on? And the reason this makes me so mad is because recently in a relationship that I have ended, and your boy lost, he ended up getting broken up with, but that's not really the point. It was fine. We were chill. I didn't really talk to her anymore. I had no ill will towards her, anything like that. But she works with one of my best friends at Target, and for some reason, they're friends, and that we all talked at college and stuff. We still talked, like, every now and again, not really too much, because I kind of have this thing, at least my personal feelings is you can't be good friends with one of your exes once it's over. To each their own, but for me personally, I don't like doing that because of the leftover feelings and things like that. I'm cool talking to them every now and again and just being chill with them, but I just don't want to be good friends with them. It's just my personal opinion and my thing with it, depending on how bad the breakup is and what goes on within it. But anyway, what happened was that when she was at Target with him, she ended up seeing me driving home from work one day, and she thought I had somebody else in the car. And when she goes up and asks my best friend, she goes, you have to tell me, like, real friend moment, you got to tell me, is Bryce dating somebody else? Because I don't want him to be over me yet. And he ended up telling me that, and I'm like, are you serious? Like, what is wrong with this girl? I didn't have anybody in my car. First off, I was talking to somebody else. Your boy lost on that one too, so he's like almost out right now. He's got 2 strikes. But anyway, I was just like, I didn't have any like ill will towards her. I don't care. She can move on, do her own thing. I didn't care. But she had like the audacity and whole thing about me not being able to move on for her because she didn't want me to get over her. But when she broke up with me, that made no sense to me and absolutely infuriated me. So when I saw this in Rent a Girlfriend, I could not contain my hate for this character. She is one of my least favorite characters in all of manga and anime, just for like a personal reason of knowing how that feels and just why would you do that. Kazuya doesn't know that she feels this way, but when you know as the reader, because you get to see it, and it's just absolutely infuriating to know that she is like this. And there's I hate her as a character. I just hate her on like a personal level. It just, oh my god. But anyway, the other characters in here, I actually do like Mizuhara besides her whole leading on thing, because she doesn't really know what she's doing with her emotions, and she doesn't know how to process them herself, because she's new at this whole love thing too. And that's why I can kind of give a pass to Kazuya and Mizuhara, even though what they do, even though he's very spineless and he's very scared, he's also coming off a breakup that was his first breakup and he was super into and had a bad ending to it, and so he's just afraid of getting hurt again and afraid of confessing his feelings to this, and he just is trying to learn how to love and regain that love, and I know what that's like, so I can give him a pass, even though it's infuriating to know that it's better, in my opinion, to say what you want and figure out what you want to do, and you should go after the things you want, because holding them inside and not dealing with them and letting them pass doesn't fix anything and doesn't help anything. He personally, as I know that, infuriates me, because I just don't want this dude, even though it's a manga, you're just kind of rooting for him and you don't want him to mess up and end up alone. But I don't think that's going to happen, because he'll have that moment where he finally progresses, because he's slowly getting more and more good confidence with himself. He's bonding with Mizuhara more, and he's starting to develop a relationship where he will finally be able to, I believe, confess that feelings towards the end. Obviously, I do think that's going to happen. It is a romance manga. If they don't do that, it's the ultimate cop-out in any manga. But the Mizuhara also has her thing where she likes him, but she doesn't know how to process this too, because she doesn't have a real boyfriend, or she's never had a real boyfriend, at least from what this manga has shown so far, and it's really been told that it kind of hinted at. I don't think it's been straight up said that she's never had a boyfriend before, but she doesn't have any experience, is what it seems. In a real relationship, she knows how to do a fake relationship and put on the act, but she doesn't really know what it's like to be in a real, actual relationship. So to watch these two characters finally develop these feelings towards each other and start to progress into a real relationship seems very real, and I like where it's progressing with this whole movie arc. That's all I'm going to say about that, which I'm just going to call it the movie arc, because that's what's happening with this. But also, I don't like how Kazuya is also leading on another girl within the story who is, I believe her name is Rika, and yeah, it is Rika, and she likes Kazuya, and she's very open about it. She says it. She's very open with her feelings. She's not hiding it. She has a weird relationship with Kazuya as they're doing a trial period for their relationship. It's very weird and very hard to explain. You have to read it if you want to, or watch the actual anime to see that, but she has a trial relationship with him where they're just trying the relationship, like an Amazon free subscription, and you can cancel at any time, I guess. But she has this thing like that, but Kazuya keeps leading her on because he clearly likes Mizuhara, but he keeps stringing Rika along because she likes him and she's very open about it, but she also knows that Kazuya has no feelings towards him, but she keeps trying to force this relationship and trying to force something that's not there, and it's just going to end up in heartbreak with Rika, because you can just tell that it's not going to work out, and he's just forcing himself to do this relationship. And also because he's that nice guy and he doesn't want to hurt anybody, he's also going to end up hurting her more by stringing her on instead of telling her, like, look, I'm not into this, I don't like you like that, you're a good person, like, we can be friends, because he likes her as a person. It's not like he hates her or anything, but he doesn't have any romantic feelings for her. It's clear that he likes Mizuhara, and Rika clearly knows this, and it's clearly shown that everybody can tell that these two legitimately like each other, and their fake romance is definitely a real romance. And so Rika just is delaying the inevitable, blinding herself to it, and it's just gonna end up in heartbreak with her later on in the story, and you just can't, it's just one of those waiting things, kind of like in Grave and Fireflies. I knew how it was gonna end in Grave and Fireflies, so watching that entire movie, just waiting for it to happen, and then when it finally happened, you're like, my heart is broken to bits, absolutely destroyed. And this is just what's going to happen with Rika, and I do not want to see her get hurt, because she's genuinely just a nice girl who just has genuine feelings for her, but it doesn't go both ways, and it's not Kazuya's fault, but he shouldn't be stringing her on, in my opinion. I believe this is one of the things where I'm saying that he never says what he wants, and he's always very spineless. He just goes with the flow instead of doing what he actually wants to do. He is going to end up hurting her more than he probably wants to, and he probably doesn't want to hurt her, definitely, but he's going to end up hurting her a lot more than what he would have if he just said straight up, I don't like you like that, you're a good person, but I hope we can stay friends instead. And he's going to end up confessing to Mizuhara. It's just what's going to happen. You can tell that they're clearly going to have a real relationship. Hopefully. I swear to God, if they don't do that, I don't know what's going to go on. But that is why I absolutely hate this series, but I love it. Because these characters are infuriating, but it's on a level that's either relatable or annoying to the point where I know what's going to go on. I've experienced these things. I don't want the characters that I love, that I've grown to actually become very attached to, I just don't want them to be hurt, and I want them to be happy in the end of it. And it just shows that the power of manga and anime, that you can just love these characters that are fucking drawings and just cartoons, and not cartoons. Oh God, I just got probably so many people pissed off by calling anime cartoons, but it's just 2D characters that you end up developing real feelings for because of their relatability and the things that they've gone through. It's an absolutely relatable show, and I do love it, but God, do they infuriate me, and I'm going to continue reading till the end. I will support this legally. I said that I confessed. I did confess that I have been reading it non-legally, so I will be collecting this legally just because I want to walk what I talk. I always say to support legal manga, and yes, I read ahead illegally, but I'm going to support this by buying the Kodansha digitals or physicals, whatever's cheaper, to be honest, because I already read it, but I just want to, I say all the time that you should buy legal manga, so if I don't walk what I talk, I shouldn't be saying it to you guys. But anyway, guys, support legal manga. Go read this. You can read it on Kodansha. Digital, physical, whatever way you want. Link will be in the description to the actual manga volume. And anyway, guys, thank you so much for watching. And as always, I will see you in another video.